Listen up, my Gooch maniacs. I am back. If you look at the title of this video, you already know who I'm calling out. But before I get to that, I did a vote yesterday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I even did a vote by talking to those Gucci maniacs that I see on a regular basis on who I should call out next. Of course, like I said, if you're looking at the title, you already know who won. But I gave choices like do another John Cena, since my second John Cena one was my biggest hit. I gave LeBron James. Again, that one was another one of those who I've already called out before, and CNN. But y'all voted for me to call out this individual, a person I never called out before, and a person I had to do a whole lot of homework on because I never heard of them until they started this little feud with Candace Owens. So Cardi B, I'm calling you out, you skank. Before I get anywhere on this, you really, I found out you're from New York. Okay, that explains why you do not have a very good grasp of normal English. In one of your tweets to Candace Owens, you said, I got #1 song in UK. I got #1 song in Australia. Actually, to put that correctly in perfect English, it's I have the #1 song in England or UK, whatever you want to call it. I have the #1 song in Australia. Which, by the way, you're arguing about politics and talking about politics and bringing up Australia and UK. That really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because they have nothing to do with American presidential candidates. They're two different countries. Neither one of those countries are part of the U.S. So they don't choose their president. You got a huge following, a huge platform, yeah. You're famous for music, if you can call it that. It is, to be honest, your music is trash. It is trash. I tried listening to your music and half the words I didn't understand, and what I did understand was filthy garbage. Pure garbage. And you talk about certain parts of your body all the time and using them in your songs. And if I had a little girl listening to your music, one, I would spank her for listening to your music, and two, I would forbid her from listening to your music. I'm sure there's a lot of other artists out there a lot better. Now, granted, I didn't listen to a lot of the artists that was popular when I was growing up. I didn't listen to Michael Jackson and Madonna and Guns N' Roses when I was growing up because I didn't really like them. I liked the music my parents grew up with. And granted, yes, I like Elvis. Yes, I like Buddy Holly. And the only modern day singer that I grew up with that I listened to growing up at that time, and he's still around, is Weird Al, because he's funny as heck. But your music is just trash. Now, there are several young ladies who do music out there a lot better than you, Cardi B. And let's be honest, you look like trash. You're fake. You're the biggest fake I've ever seen. You're all fake. Maybe the only thing that's real about you is your attitude. And from what I understand, you used to be a stripper, which means you probably a hoe, as we would say in the South. But anyway, you're not even all that good looking. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Gooch, can you name anybody better looking than her? Well, Candace Owens. Not just smarter than her, but better looking than her. But as far as music goes and looks, you got the deplorable choir girls. You got Joey Vila. They're way better musically wise and a lot cleaner. And they're a lot better looking than you, Cardi B. Let's be honest. If the Gooch didn't know who you were until you started arguing with Candace Owens, that means you're not really all that big and popular because the Gooch would have heard of you. The Gooch has also told his followers for years that celebrities should be seen and not heard. They need to keep their mouths shut. That's what you need to do. You need to learn how to keep your mouth shut. Now, another point I want to point out, yes, Joe Biden went on your show. Just like Hillary used Katy Perry, that little slutty Katy Perry 4 years ago, and used Jay-Z and Beyonce to get votes, and it didn't really work for her, did it? So you think you're really going to help Joe Biden? I mean, if Katy Perry, Jay-Z, and Beyonce, who had bigger followings than you, couldn't help Hillary Clinton get across the finish line, I don't think you're going to help Joe Biden get across the finish line. I think Joe Biden's campaign sent him to your show to make it look like Joe Biden had some sense and could put together a sentence. Because compared to you, he can't. You're dumb as a box of rocks. You try to argue with Candace Owens about politics in the field of which she's a master of. I wouldn't even argue politics with Candace Owens if I disagreed with her. Now, yeah, you got followers who trash Candace Owens, but they're pathetic losers just like you are. And to be honest, Cardi B, to be honest with you, Candace Owens has a higher IQ than you. Then again, I've had farts with higher IQs than you. And then you end up bringing up Candace Owens' unborn baby child. That child hasn't even been born yet, and it still has a higher IQ than you. Cardi B, I never thought I would ever see anyone that would make AOC look smart and the blondes and the dumb blonde jokes look smart, but you managed to do a perfect job of that. You're so stupid and ignorant. Proving yet again, celebrities need to keep their mouths shut and stay out of politics and know their roles and shut their mouths, or the Gooch will have to do it for them. The bottom line is, Cardi B, you're pathetic, you're a nobody, you're stupid, you're ignorant, and you're a piece of crap. You're the biggest piece of trash I've ever seen. And the worst part is, you think you're cool, but you're not. The only reason why people in England, or UK, whatever you want to call it, in Australia listens to your music, probably because they think we found an American that makes Americans look dumb, and that's why they listen to your music. I mean, that's kind of like thinking Southerners are ignorant because they have a slight Southern accent. But the fact is, you don't even know your history. You don't even know statistics. Statistically, a white man between 45 and 18 is 10 times more likely to get shot by a police officer than a black man. Yes, there are a few black men that get killed by police. And 60% of those black men that get killed by police have been justified shootings or justified incidents. But you're going to go along with the false media narrative, again, showing what a sheep and an ignorant ramus you are. And believe whatever the media tells you. To be honest with you, Cardi B, the Gooch really don't care about you, but the Gooch's fans wanted to hear him go on a tirade and chew you up and spit you out like the piece of garbage you are. And that's why I'm doing this. The fact is, Cardi B, you're not really that great of an entertainer. The Gooch knows that I can't make money musically because I don't have the musical talent. But I don't do things for money because I'm not a whore like you. I'm not a skanking slut like you. So I don't sell my soul to anybody. I'm a free man. But I'm going to give you a little education, as they would say in the South, and teach you a little bit about history. Okay? During the time of the Civil War, 100% of the slave owners were Democrats. 100% of those who fought to keep slaves was Democrats. And before we started using Africans as slaves in America, they used some of my ancestors on my mom's side, which is Irish and Scottish. They used white people as slaves as well. And they were mostly Irish and Scottish. But you don't hear that in history class anymore. 100% of those that created the Jim Crow laws were Democrats, Cardi B. Democrats came up with the Jim Crow laws. Democrats created the KKK. The Democrats created everything that held the black people back. You might not want to admit that. You might not want to see that, but it's true, Carly. It's true. Now, let's be honest with you. That's being honest with you. And you talk about the imprisonment, high imprisonment of blacks. Yes, black community does commit the majority of the crimes. But the over excessive sentences they have been receiving was fixed by President Trump with the First Step Act. Not just that, but the crime bill that put the majority of blacks in jail for marijuana possession, that was written by the very guy you had on your show, Joe Biden. He wrote that bill. And Bill Clinton signed that into law. And yet, you're going to call Candace Owens a mouthpiece for racism? No. You're the one that's the mouthpiece for racism. And the bottom line is, the Gooch don't care about you, Cardi B, but the Gooch's fans wanted to hear him go off on you. And that's the bottom line, because God's gift to women, the man of the hour, the man of power too sweet to be sour, every lady's pet, every man's regret, the sex appeal of Elvis, leadership qualities of Ronald Reagan, the Hall of Fame potential of George Brett, the style and profiling of the nature boy, woo! Ric Flair, the hardcore heart of Mick Foley, the conservative values of Rush Limbaugh, and the badness and toughness of Chuck Norris, all rolled into one dynamite package. The Gooch said so.